Hello, this is Caede, your guide. Today we are at the Meiji Jingu Shrine near Harajuku. It's an amazing place surrounded by trees right in the center of Tokyo. Now, what kind of place is a Meiji Shrine? The Meiji Shrine was built in 1920 and is dedicated to Emperor Meiji Mutsuhito, the 122nd Emperor of Japan, and his wife Empress Shoken. What kind of person was Emperor Meiji? Emperor Meiji's father, Emperor Komei, died at the age of 35, and so Emperor Meiji was pulled into the center of politics at the tender age of 14. At the time, Japan was in the middle of Meiji Restoration. It was a turbulent time when the center of politics was about to pass from the hands of the samurai back to the hands of the emperor. As the emperor for the next 45 years, he led Japan from the old world to modernization. In 1868, the sovereignty of Japan was transferred from Tokugawa shogunate back to the emperor, and in effect, the emperor became the ruler of the country. The name of the era was changed to Meiji, and both the emperor and the capital moved from Kyoto to Tokyo. In Japan, when the emperor is succeeded, a new era means that the year counting starts at 1 again. Japanese people don't call the emperor by his name, but rather by the era he rules in. For example, Emperor Mutsuhito is called Emperor Meiji, so it is common for Japanese people to not know the real name of the emperor. In the new era, various new laws were enacted by Emperor Meiji, and the foundation of the new Japan was laid. In particular, the Meiji Emperor contributed greatly to education of the people and the development of culture. Most importantly, Japan, which had been closed off from the rest of the world, was far behind Western societies in many ways. So Japan westernized fast and pursued policies to catch up with Western societies. They ordered people to wear Western-style clothes instead of kimonos, and their lifestyle became more like those in the West. So how did Emperor Meiji spend his day? He woke up at 8 a.m. for breakfast. The only thing he had was cafe au lait and bread. At 10:30, he would change into his military uniform and go to his study to conduct his political affairs. At noon, he changed into a long tuxedo and had lunch. It looks like he enjoyed a lot of Western food. As you would expect, he voluntarily adopted a Western style himself. Dinner was served at 7 p.m. This was a Japanese meal with 20 different side dishes. He enjoyed a typical commoner's menu, such as boiled vegetables and grilled fish. The leftovers were eaten by all the staff, so it didn't get wasted. There were about 300 female staff members around the emperor and the empress to help them change clothes, have meals, and bathe. The upper half body was considered clean and the lower half impure, and it was forbidden to wash them in the same water. There was a unique rule that the upper and lower body had to be washed by different female staff members. This annoyance seems to have made the emperor dislike bathing. There was still concubine system in place in the Meiji era. Emperor Meiji actually didn't have any children with his official wife, but he had 5 concubines who blessed him with 15 children. However, only one of his sons made it into adulthood. This son became the next emperor, Emperor Taisho. The emperor also enjoyed drinking alcohol at night with his friends. He didn't take too much care of himself, and the doctor told him to limit his drinking to 1.8 liters per night. 1.8 liters is a lot. That's more than 2 bottles of wine. Emperor Meiji, the symbol of the New Japan, passed away in 1912 at the age of 59. So what kind of person was Empress Dowager Shoken? She was an empress who contributed to women's education, women's social advancement, and social welfare. Her nickname was Tengu-san because of her tall nose. A Tengu is a legendary creature about whom stories were passed down in Japanese folk beliefs. They had a tall nose and could become a god or demon. The empress had no children with Emperor Meiji, but she was a good advisor and the best partner he could ever have. She built many schools especially for women, including Ochanomizu University, and she willingly wore Western clothes, declaring that kimono restrict movement and women's freedom. And she greatly promoted women's advancement in society. She also made a large donation to the establishment of the Japanese Red Cross Society. Following in the emperor's footsteps, the Empress Dowager died 2 years after Emperor Meiji in 1914. After the death of Emperor Meiji and Empress Dowager, the government proposed to build a shrine surrounded by a forest to honor the achievement of Emperor Meiji and Emperor Dowager, who laid the foundation of the New Japan with the approval of Emperor Taisho. This area was originally the residence of vassals who served Tokugawa shogun family. It was a quiet place in the midst of noisy Tokyo and was a favorite place of both Emperor and Empress Meiji to visit. However, at the time, this was flat agricultural land, not the forest that we see today. In other words, the forest here today is a man-made forest. The trees were planted later. Construction work began in 1915, a year after the death of the Empress Dowager, and was completed 5 years later in 1920. In the process of the construction, 13,000 people from all over Japan collaborated, and many donations were collected. About 100,000 trees were donated from all over Japan and were carefully planted one by one. And now it's become an oasis of green in the middle of the city. Now let's take a look at Meiji Shrine, dedicated to the great contributors to the modernization of Japan, Emperor Meiji and Empress Shoken.